Live from New Delhi, you're watching DD India News Hour, India's voice to the world with me, Deepika, coming up in the next 1 hour. Prime Minister Modi announces key initiatives for Fijian medical and defence sector, stresses on India's unequivocal support for the global south. Prime Minister Modi to unveil 5,400 crore rupees developmental projects in Gujarat to flag off Suzuki's first global battery electric vehicle e-Vitara for export to over 100 countries. South Korea's President Lee Jae-myung set to meet Donald Trump, trade, tariff and defence cooperation high on agenda. Thousands evacuated as Vietnam prepares for Typhoon Kajiki to make landfall. Good afternoon to all the viewers joining us at this afternoon broadcast. To begin with the latest, Prime Minister Narendra Modi today met his Fijian counterpart Sitiveni Rabuka at Hyderabad House in New Delhi. The two leaders held delegation-level talks on issues of mutual interests, following which 4 MoUs were signed in the sectors including health and medical services, migration and mobility, capacity building and on big impact projects. Now later, the two leaders addressed a joint press meet where Prime Minister Modi said that with this visit of Prime Minister Rabuka, two countries are adding a new chapter in the relationship. He further added that the two countries have decided to strengthen mutual cooperation in the defence and security sector, for which an action plan has been prepared.
हम मानते हैं कि एक स्वस्थ राष्ट्र ही समृद्ध राष्ट्र हो सकता है। इसलिए हमने तय किया कि सुवा में 100 बेड सुपर स्पेशलिटी अस्पताल बनाया जाएगा। डायलिसिस यूनिट्स और सी एम्बुलेंस भेजी जाएगी और जन औषधि केंद्र खोले जाएंगे, जिससे सस्ती और उत्तम क्वालिटी की दवा हर घर तक पहुंचेगी। हम चाहते हैं कि सपनों की दौड़ में किसी के कदम रुके नहीं, इसलिए फिजी में जयपुर फूड कैंप भी लगाया जाएगा। कृषि के क्षेत्र में भारत से गए काउपी यानी लोबिया सीड्स फिजी की मिट्टी में बहुत ही अच्छी तरह अंकुरित हो रहे हैं। भारत अब 12 एग्री ड्रोन और 2 मोबाइल सॉइल टेस्टिंग लैब भी भेंट करेगा।
Asserting that a healthy nation can only be a prosperous nation, Prime Minister Modi said that the two sides have taken many important decisions in this regard, including ensuring affordable and high-quality medicines in all Fijian households.
हमने रक्षा और सुरक्षा क्षेत्र में आपसी सहयोग को मजबूत करने का निर्णय लिया है। इसके लिए एक एक्शन प्लान तैयार किया गया है। फिजी की मैरीटाइम सिक्योरिटी को सशक्त करने के लिए भारत से ट्रेनिंग और इक्विपमेंट में सहयोग दिया जाएगा। साइबर सिक्योरिटी और डेटा प्रोटेक्शन के क्षेत्रों में हम अपने अनुभव साझा करने के लिए तैयार हैं। हम एकमत है कि आतंकवाद पूरी मानवता के लिए बहुत बड़ी चुनौती है। आतंकवाद के खिलाफ हमारी लड़ाई में सहयोग और समर्थन के लिए हम प्रधानमंत्री रंबुका और फिजी सरकार का आभार व्यक्त करते हैं।
Prime Minister Narendra Modi also talked about Fijian Prime Minister's framing of the Pacific as an ocean of peace, symbolizing the region's long-standing regional unity, non-alignment and security.
पैसिफिक आइलैंड देशों से सहयोग में हम फिजी को एक हब के रूप में देखते हैं। हम दोनों फ्री, ओपन, इंक्लूसिव, सुरक्षित और समृद्ध इंडो पैसिफिक का समर्थन करते हैं। प्रधानमंत्री जी की ओशंस ऑफ पीस एक बहुत ही सकारात्मक सोच है। भारत के इंडो पैसिफिक ओशन इनिशिएटिव से जुड़ने के लिए हम फिजी का स्वागत करते हैं। इंडिया एंड फिजी may be oceans apart, but our aspirations sail in the same boat.
Fijian Prime Minister on his part lauded the role of the Indian community in his country, saying they continue to contribute to Fiji's economy and its stability. The visiting dignitary also highlighted how several initiatives taken by Prime Minister Narendra Modi resulted in the eradication of poverty, saying Fiji wishes to follow the suit.
We have the same objective for people. Surprised that many people were surprised when I announced that I would like to do what Prime Minister Modi has done in India, and that is eradicate poverty, particularly in the rural and our maritime areas. And first of all, it has to be eradicated from the minds of the people who have believed for so long that they are poor. They do not have to believe, and they can get out of it. First of all, they have to believe they are not poor. And the recent development, very little things perhaps from your scale of cowpeas being introduced to Fiji. It might be a very small thing for a great nation like India, but for us, it is great. A lot of common rural areas and peri-urban people will be able to participate in the economy and just planting these. I believe it's growing very well in Fiji. We are the same latitude, same climate, so whatever grows well here will grow well in Fiji, and we look forward to continuing the great cooperation we have.
And Jessica joins us for more. Jessica, take us through the key highlights of the joint press statement delivered by both the leaders.
Well, you heard from Prime Minister Modi, with his Fiji counterpart, talking about the initiatives that India has undertaken over the years, especially when it comes to the focus in the Indo-Pacific and the Forum for Indo-Pacific Cooperation that was also that has been there between the two, and certainly has gained momentum over the years, and the announcements of various medical equipments as well, and extending support to Fiji, particularly in its agriculture sector, like giving them agri-drones to soil testing labs as well, is an addition to what India and Fiji have had as a relationship, which has just not been limited to cooperation in the Indo-Pacific, but also has expanded to defense ties as well. And if you look at the developments of the day, well, the Fiji Prime Minister had thanked the Indian Prime Minister for various development initiatives that have been undertaken by India over the years. And if you'd recall, back in 1879 and up till 1916, approximately more than 60,000 Indians were in Fiji, were sent to Fiji, and have led the development initiative as well. So both the countries share an extensive relationship, and as you heard, the Prime Minister also made that important remark where he said that the two countries may be oceans apart, but their aspirations sail in the same boat, certainly hinting at how important Fiji has been a partner, not just the Indo-Pacific, but beyond the traditional ties that India has enjoyed with the nation.
All right, thank you so much, Jessica, for joining us and giving us the latest. Well, the visiting dignitary earlier on Monday visited Rajghat, the memorial of Father of the Nation, Mahatma Gandhi, and paid tributes to him by laying a wreath at Rajghat. And now let's get your rounded perspective on this growing relationship between India and Fiji. And for this, I'm joined by Ambassador Anil Wadhwa, the former senior diplomat. Good afternoon, Ambassador Wadhwa. Now, India and Fiji not only share a very healthy diplomatic tie, but it also echoes each other's viewpoint on maritime security. Ambassador Wadhwa, you yourself represented India as the chief delegate to the meetings of the small island states and organized two major conferences related to FIPIC in India and in Fiji. How do you see this developmental progress between the two nations over the years?
So I think the relationship between India and Fiji has been quite steady. It's been growing very well over the years, except for that brief period in 1990 to 1999 when there was a political hiccup between India and Fiji. But otherwise, the strong cultural bonds and the fact that both Fiji and India see each other as defense partners and also partners in terms of agriculture in particular, has been a major bond between the two countries. We also have a multifaceted plan of action for Fiji, which India has implemented quite well over the years. In particular, during this visit, we've seen how the plan for maritime security, training and equipment cooperation in that respect has taken shape. And in the years to come, we will see a much more cooperation in that respect. And of course, in terms of the assistance that India has given Fiji, it ranges from agriculture to solar projects in particular. As also now we have seen in healthcare, because a number of Fijians used to travel to India for healthcare facilities, which will now be available locally once this super specialty multi-bed hospital comes up in Fiji itself. In terms of education also, we've seen a lot of inputs from India in the Fijian education system, including mobile libraries, the provision of grants for education, and in terms of MSMEs, and also the tertiary sector in the economy, which has also seen some grants being given by India in the past.
Also, India and Fiji signed key MoUs today, and key initiatives were also announced, as you mentioned, in medical, defense and maritime sector. And culture and climate also remained in focus. Well, this is a new phase of growing bilateral ties, depicting a better and bigger version of New India's diplomatic ties with the rest of the countries, isn't it, Ambassador Wadhwa?
Yes, I think it's a prime example of how India has reached out to the Pacific Island states, especially through the FIPIC process. The first FIPIC conference was in fact organized in Fiji, and it was then that the Prime Minister met with the Pacific Island states heads at that summit. And thereafter, of course, there have been two other editions. Indian appropriate technologies have been adopted quite enthusiastically by the Pacific Island states. In terms of climate change, India has helped a lot in terms of mitigation technologies, climate finance, as also the appropriate technologies which help these countries in terms of appropriate technology which can help in their small and medium-sized industries. So India provides what is appropriate, and it also supports the Pacific Island states, wants Fiji to become a hub in the FIPIC context and the small island states context, and a solid partner for India going forward.
All right. Thank you so much, Ambassador Wadhwa, for joining us and bringing us a rounded perspective on the growing bilateral relationship between India and Fiji. Time to take a short break, but still to come on the other side. New Zealand's postal service suspends most deliveries to the United States, citing uncertainty. President Zelensky reiterates call for direct talks with Russian President Vladimir Putin. And IMD warns of heavy to very heavy rainfall across Gujarat, Maharashtra and other states as monsoon fury continues.
Complex issues, hidden agendas, twists and turns, strategic games. We think All dots are linked. We just need to connect them. Join me every week as I connect the dots to unravel hidden designs in statecraft, mysteries, and decode issues that matter to you. Watch Connecting the Dots with me at these times on DD India.
Welcome back after that short break. You're watching DD India News Hour. Now, South Korea's President Lee Jae-myung and US President Donald Trump will meet at the White House on Monday for their first summit talks. Lee wrapped up his two-day visit to Japan on Sunday with a meeting of the lawmakers from Japan-Korea Parliamentarians Union before departing for Washington, D.C. Well, the Lee-Trump talks are expected to focus on follow-up details from last month's tariff deal, as well as sensitive issues, including defense cooperation and the future posture of U.S. troops stationed in Korea. The two leaders are also expected to hammer out details of the broad trade agreement that lowered the U.S. reciprocal tariffs on Korean goods to 15% from 25% in return for Seoul's $350 billion investment that pledges and other commitments as well. Now, after the White House talks, Lee will attend a business roundtable with top corporate executives from both the countries and also deliver a speech at the Center for Strategic and International Studies. New Zealand's Postal Service said it had suspended most deliveries to the United States, citing uncertainty over the impact of President Donald Trump's looming tariffs. Now, New Zealand Post, in a statement on its website, said that only limited letters and important documents, such as passports or legal letters, would be delivered to the United States. The department said it was working quickly to make changes to its service and that it hoped to resume the deliveries as soon as possible. The move follows similar steps taken by postal services and mail carriers in India, Germany, France, Belgium, Austria and Denmark, and the Trump administration said that as of the 29th of August, it would abolish a tax exemption on small packages entering the United States. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky says a meeting with Russian President Vladimir Putin is the most effective way forward for peace efforts, despite Russia ruling out any planned meeting between the two leaders. Here's more.
As diplomatic efforts continue to bring an end to the ongoing Ukraine conflict, President Volodymyr Zelensky reiterated call for direct talks with Russian President Vladimir Putin, with assurances of security and lasting peace. Speaking at Ukraine's Independence Day celebrations alongside Western officials, including US envoy Keith Kellogg, Zelensky vowed to push Russia to peace.
We must continue to put pressure on Russia to end this war, to end it with dignity, with guaranteed security and guaranteed peace. This is only possible through the combined strength of all those in the world who want peace and who respect international law. The format of talks between leaders is the most effective way forward.
But flickering hopes for peace further dimmed as Moscow ruled out any immediate Putin-Zelensky meeting. Foreign Minister Lavrov said in an interview that Putin is ready to meet with Zelensky when the agenda for the summit is ready, adding that this agenda is not ready at all.
As regards the security guarantees for Ukraine, those principles proposed by Ukrainian delegation, I underline this once again, they provided for creation a group of guarantors. This group containing of permanent members of the Security Council, Russia, US, China, UK and France, plus they mentioned Germany, Turkey and any other country which would be interested to join this group of guarantors.
Even as the conflict continues, Kiev seeks to deepen defense cooperation with allied nations. President Zelensky attended a defense forum with Canadian Prime Minister Mark Carney and discussed bolstering defense cooperation and security guarantees for Ukraine. Carney, who joined Zelensky for its Independence Day celebrations earlier, said that he backed Ukraine's calls for robust security guarantees as part of any peace deal.
We are working through with our allies in the Coalition of the Willing and with Ukraine the modalities of those security guarantees on the land, in the air, and the sea, and I would not exclude the presence of troops.
Despite the ongoing diplomatic tensions, there remains a glimmer of hope, with Russia and Ukraine exchanging 146 prisoners of war from each side in the latest series of swaps mediated by the United Arab Emirates. But for now, the question remains, will diplomatic efforts bring the two sides on negotiating table, or more than 3.5 years conflict will continue to drag on? Bureau Report, TD India.
Moving on to situation in the West Asia now. Israeli strikes hit the Yemeni capital Sana'a on Sunday. The strikes came 2 days after Yemen's Houthis fired a hypersonic ballistic missile at Tel Aviv. The Israeli military said the targets included a military compound housing the presidential palace, 2 power plants and a fuel storage site. The Houthi-controlled media reported that the strikes killed at least 2 people and injured 5. The casualties were reported at the oil company station, a gas station run by the Houthi-controlled Yemeni Petroleum Company. Bangladesh on Sunday called on Pakistan to resolve the long-standing historical issues, including a formal official apology for the 1971 genocide committed by Pakistan. Well, the call came during a meeting between Bangladesh's Foreign Affairs Advisor Tauheed Hussain and Pakistan's Deputy Prime Minister and Foreign Minister. Ishaq Dar was on a 2-day official visit to Bangladesh from the 23rd of August at the invitation of his Bangladeshi counterpart. And talking to the reporters after the meeting, Hussain said they've raised all 3 unresolved issues to advance the bilateral relations further. Earlier in the day, Ishaq Dar, without seeking apology for 1971 genocide, claimed that the issues of 1971 were settled twice. Hussain disagreed with the claim made by Ishaq Dar regarding the resolution of unresolved issues from the year 1971. And now let's get to global weather updates. First up from India. Well, India faces intensified monsoon activity as the IMD warns of heavy to very heavy rainfall across Gujarat until the 30th of August and Maharashtra from Tuesday amid a low pressure area over northeast Madhya Pradesh and an emerging system over the northwest Bay of Bengal. Extremely heavy fall struck Punjab, East Madhya Pradesh and Chhattisgarh, recording up to 29 centimeters in Dausa. Delhi NCR endured thunderstorms and heavy rains on 24th, triggering yellow alert for light till moderate showers until the 29th. In Maharashtra, Mumbai anticipates yellow alerts with heavy downpours on Tuesday and Wednesday, while Pune expects moderate rains during the Ganesh Utsav. The IMD has also forecast isolated very heavy rainfall for Odisha on Monday and Tuesday, coastal Karnataka on Wednesday till Friday and Kerala on Tuesday till Friday. Forecasts persist with thunderstorms risks nationwide. Urban flooding and disruptions loom in affected states. Heavy rains spattered Himachal Pradesh on Sunday, triggering floods and landslides with 484 roads closed and forecast of heavy showers until the 30th of August. In Kulu's Sainj Valley, Garchala Nala overflowed as streams dumped silt and mud into homes, causing major disruptions. Kangra's Indora saw Pias River in full spate near Punjab's Pathankot, flooding roads and houses. Residents sheltered indoors as administration provided aid. The state capital, Shimla's weather department issued orange alerts for heavy to very heavy rain in 10 districts. Schools and colleges are closed statewide. With over 298 monsoon deaths reported, 500 routes have been blocked amid power outages. Enhanced activity peaks on the 26th of August and yellow warnings persist. Torrential overnight rainfall battered Jammu, inundating low-lying areas, damaging several houses and roads. Authorities in Jammu and Kashmir has issued advisories amid an IMD alert for moderate to heavy rainfall across the Union Territory. The Weather Department has issued an alert for intense rainfall with the possibility of cloudbursts. flash floods and landslides in high altitude areas till the 27th of August. Torrential rains wreaked havoc across West India's Rajasthan, leaving large parts of the state waterlogged and disrupting daily life. Several areas in Bundi, Savai Madhopur and Kota districts are facing flood-like situations where rescue and relief works are underway. And on the other hand, the worsening situation has led to the deployment of army personnel along with the teams from the NDRF and SDRF to conduct rescue and relief work. The Weather Centre has predicted that the heavy rain may continue in some areas of the state for the next 3 to 4 days. Moving on, in Vietnam, that witnessed the evacuation of tens of thousands of residents from coastal areas on Monday ahead of the arrival of Typhoon Kajiki, which is expected to lash the country's central belt with gales of around 140 kilometers per hour. The typhoon is expected to make landfall at around 800 GMT, packing winds of around 139 kilometers per hour. Its power is due to dramatically dissipate after it makes the landfall. 2 domestic airports were shut and all fishing boats in the typhoon's path have been called back to the harbour. Weathermen say rain will continue till Tuesday, and along with that, risk for flooding and flash floods remains very high. Well, it is the 5th typhoon to hit Vietnam this year and 13th in the region. Typhoon Kajiki has brushed southern China's Hainan Island, prompting 20,000 evacuations and closures in Sanya, including businesses, transport and attractions amid up to 400 mm of rainfall. As Hainan faces heavy rain due to Typhoon Kajiki, risk of waterlogging, flash flood and geological disasters are heightened. The province has activated emergency response measures to ramp up prevention and preparedness efforts. Pakistan's Punjab province faced escalating floods on Monday as the Satluj River surged to high flood levels at 1,29,866 cusecs in Ganda Singhwala, prompting urgent evacuations in nearby districts. Rescue teams urged the villagers to flee rising waters, but many resisting leaving homes and livestock, exacerbating risk amid submerged neighborhoods and collapsed infrastructure. Now, over 20,000 people evacuated in the last 24 hours, with total monsoon deaths reaching 788 nationwide since late June, including over 120 in Punjab alone. Red alerts were issued for 2 more rain spells by the 10th of September, warning of flash floods in Khyber Pakhtunkhwa, Northern Punjab and Sindh. High alerts persist at Sulamanki, with rivers like Chenab and Ravi stable. Relief efforts provide shelters, but shortages loom in affected areas. Cloudbursts and heavier rains have displaced thousands, destroying crops and homes. And now let's take a look at other stories making news around the world in brief. A person in Maryland has been treated for New World screw worm after traveling for Guatemala, marking the first U.S. case this year since an outbreak spread north from Central America last year. State veterinarians were briefed on the case by the U.S. Centers for Disease Control and Prevention. The flesh-eating parasite rarely infects the humans, poses a major threat to cattle and wildlife, burrowing into wounds and can be fatal if untreated. Australian toxic mushroom killer Erin Peterson faces her victims' relatives in court on Monday before a judge sentences her for a triple murder that made headlines worldwide. She was convicted of deliberately serving the poisonous fare to her husband's parents, aunt and uncle at a sumptuous lunch in her rural home in the state of Victoria in 2023. Within days, the parents and aunt were dead. Over the past 4 years, Romanian collector Florina has gathered 1,000 porcelain dolls from around the world, ranging from aristocratic ladies and princesses to brides, grooms and babies. Some of the rarest pieces are valued at more than €1,000, making the passion both costly and delicate. Dodu says her dream is to open a museum where the collection can be admired by the public. Time to take a short break, but still to come on the other side. Union Home Minister Amit Shah lashes the opposition on the Black Pill protests against the Constitution 130th Amendment Bill. RBI Governor delivers inaugural address at FIPAC, charting new frontiers. And after the break, we'll get you live inputs from Ministry of External Affairs on Fiji Prime Minister's India visit.
Geopolitics and trade deals. Economic challenges amid development. Hard work and the path to prosperity. It's the economy always. Between walkers, money is what money does and says. Supply creates its own demand. Between the bulls pulls and bears tears. When supply chains globalization and India rises to the podium. We'll get you centered with the economic brief at 8 p.m. every Thursday on DD India.
Welcome back. After that short break, you're watching DD India News Hour. Well, Prime Minister Narendra Modi will embark on a two-day visit to Gujarat on Monday. Prime Minister Modi will inaugurate, dedicate and lay the foundation stone for multiple development projects worth over 5,400 crore rupees, spanning across sectors like urban development, energy, roads and railways.
Prime Minister Narendra Modi will address a massive public gathering at Kodal Dham ground in Ahmedabad in Gujarat on 25th August. He will also inaugurate multiple projects aimed at boosting infrastructure, connectivity and sustainable development across Gujarat. In the energy sector, projects worth over rupees 1,000 crore under the Uttar Gujarat Vij Company Limited will be inaugurated. These aim to modernize Gujarat's power distribution network.
गुजरात की जनता को बहुत उत्साह है कि देश के यशस्वी प्रधानमंत्री जब भी गुजरात आते हैं तो खाली हाथ नहीं आते हैं, कुछ न कुछ भेंट सौगात दें, डेवलपमेंट की विकास की भेंट सौगात दें और लोगों को देकर जाते हैं.
PM Modi's visit will also give fillip to projects worth over rupees 1,400 crore in the railway sector, including the doubling of the 65-kilometer Mehsana-Palanpur rail line, gauge conversion of critical stretches, and the launch of a passenger train.
In a faster way, people can go to the Rajasthan part and the North India part. Second is Kalol to Katosan. This line was earlier in the meter gauge. During 15 or 16, this has been closed. And the pace of making this, the contract of this was finalized in 23rd of December. And in a year time, it has been completed.
The Prime Minister will also launch urban development initiatives under the Pradhan Mantri Awas Yojana urban scheme, improving slum rehabilitation, water management, and sewage systems across Ahmedabad.
Prime Minister Narendra Modi's visit to Gujarat is set to give a new direction to the state's industrial and urban development. From roads to railways and from housing to electric vehicles, this visit of Prime Minister Narendra Modi is not only going to give benefit to the common people, but also boost the state's economy. With camera person Lakshman Rajput, this is Megha Dev for DD India from Ahmedabad, Gujarat.
In Gujarat, Prime Minister Narendra Modi will also inaugurate two significant initiatives at Suzuki's Motors Hasalpur plant during his Gujarat visit. Take a look at our next report for all the details.
In a landmark moment, PM Modi will flag off the e-Vitara, Suzuki's first ever global battery electric vehicle manufactured in India. This is a significant breakthrough as these Made in India BEVs will be exported to over 100 countries, including advanced markets like Europe and Japan. The company aims to cater both domestic and international markets from Gujarat. This significant milestone is the result of a seeding that took place in the year 2011 when Prime Minister Modi, as the Chief Minister of Gujarat, invited Suzuki, and Suzuki established a car plant here in Hansalpur.
This is the first global manufacturing for Suzuki for BEVs, and it will be shipped to about more than 100 countries of the world, including advanced countries like in Europe or Japan. The economic cooperation extends to far beyond just industrial infrastructure. It's also about social infrastructure. The state of Gujarat has a natural advantage for exports because of its proximity to the ports, and it has some of the high quality ports with this infrastructure helping us for exports to many countries of the world.
The partnership between Gujarat and Suzuki continues to be a story of progress and prosperity. The Hansalpur region has emerged as a major hub for automotive growth, fueling not just industry but also social development. PM Modi will also inaugurate next phase of India's battery ecosystem by the start of local production by hybrid battery electrodes at the TDS lithium-ion battery plant in Gujarat. The plant is a joint venture between Toshiba, Denso, and Suzuki, marking another leap toward India's Atmanirbhar Bharat vision. From electric cars to advanced battery solutions, these two milestones symbolize India's growing leadership in sustainable mobility and clean energy innovation. Meghna Dev's report for DD India.
Moving on. India and Bangladesh will begin the 56th Director General level border talks in Dhaka from today. Discussion on border-related issues and for better coordination between ports, border guarding forces are on the agenda of the 4-day meeting. The India-Bangladesh border spans 5 states, West Bengal and 5 northeastern states. The BSF and its Bangladesh counterpart BGP hold the DG level border coordination conference twice in a year, with either of the side alternatively travelling to New Delhi and Dhaka. The Governor of the Reserve Bank of India, Sanjay Malhotra, delivered the inaugural address at the FIPAC, charting new frontiers. The conference has been jointly organized by the Federation of Indian Chambers of Commerce and Industry and the Indian Banks Association. In his address, RBI Governor Sanjay Malhotra highlighted how the Indian economy has grown and is on the path of becoming the 3rd largest in the world, and also mentioned the declining inflation rates. Take a listen.
The Indian economy today is characterized by robust macroeconomic fundamentals. We are all set and projected to be the 3rd largest economy in the coming years. This July, we had the lowest inflation at 1.6% headline for the last 8 years. The Indian government's fiscal position is also very strong and robust, having decreased its fiscal deficit now from 9.2% post-COVID and projected to go down now to 4.4%.
Union Home Minister Amit Shah has lashed out at the Black Bill protest against the Constitution 130th Amendment Bill by the opposition parties and stated that both he and the BJP completely reject the idea that the country cannot be governed without the person who's been jailed.
मेरा बहुत स्पष्ट मानना है, मेरी पार्टी का मानना है, देश के प्रधानमंत्री का मानना है कि इस देश में कोई भी मुख्यमंत्री हो, मंत्री हो या प्रधानमंत्री हो, जेल में रहकर सरकार नहीं चला सकते। पहले भी कई लोगों ने मॉरल ग्राउंड पर इस्तीफा दिया है। लाल कृष्ण अडवाणी जी ने दिया था, येदुरप्पा जी ने दिया था, ईश्वरप्पा जी ने दिया था, जॉर्ज फर्नांडिस जी ने दिया था। कई सारे लोगों ने मॉरल ग्राउंड पर इस्तीफे दिए हैं। कोई जेल में जाकर सरकार नहीं चला। इवन हेमंत सोरेन ने दिया था रिसेंट पास्ट में। जब वो छूट कर आए तो फिर से मुख्यमंत्री बन गए। अब इसका हमने कानूनी प्रोविजन किया है।
In an interview with ANI, the Home Minister highlighted that it was the Prime Minister himself who had insisted on bringing the office of the Prime Minister under the aegis of this bill. He said that protests and sloganeering by the opposition in the parliament while he was tabling the bill was not right and that the opposition must answer to the people.
किसी भी सरकार के विधेयक को या संविधान संशोधन को सदन में पेश न होने देना और इस तरह का व्यवहार करना, ये क्या लोकतंत्र में उचित है? क्या देश की पार्लियामेंट के दोनों सदन बहस के लिए है या शोरगुल और हल्ले के लिए है? मुद्दे का विरोध हमने भी देखा है, हमने भी करा है, परंतु बिल को पेश न होने देने की एक प्रकार की मानसिकता मैं नहीं मानता हूं कि ये लोकतांत्रिक है और विपक्ष को देश की जनता के सामने इसका जवाब देना पड़ेगा।
Meanwhile, a joint committee comprising the members of Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha, cutting across the party lines, will be appointed by the Lok Sabha Speaker and the Rajya Sabha Chairperson and will jointly examine the Constitution Amendment Bill. Moving on. After a historic mission to the International Space Station, Group Captain Shubhanshu Shukla reached his hometown Lucknow on Monday. Uttar Pradesh Deputy Chief Minister Brajesh Pathak welcomed Group Captain Shubhanshu Shukla upon his arrival. A grand victory parade was held in his honour. Standing alongside Shukla was his family, who were given a grand welcome by hundreds who gathered on the streets to welcome Shukla. Students also lined the streets waving the tricolour. Shubhanshu Shukla also visited his alma mater, City Montessori School, and the school campus echoed with chants of pride and celebration. Shukla interacted with the students and shared his experiences in space.
Truly a historic day for all of us.
And let's now take a look at other stories making news around the country in brief. The Delhi Metro has implemented a revised fare structure effectively from Monday, with passenger fares increasing by 1 rupee to 4 rupees depending on travel distance. On the Airport Express line, the hike is up to 5 rupees. Officials said the revision is minimal and aimed at meeting rising operational and maintenance costs. Time to take a short break, but still to come on the other side. After the break, we'll get you a special report on how political shifts are reshaping regional outlook in Germany. And after the break, we'll get you all the latest action from the ongoing US Open. Welcome back. After that short break, you're watching DD India News Hour. Now let's get you all the latest from the world of business. Well, Germans have seen 2 years of recession, but with the new government in charge, things are supposed to be getting better. Lars Holter is with Deutsche Welle and joins me from Berlin. Lars, good afternoon. Looking at the latest numbers, how are things going in Germany?
Thanks for having me. Well, they're not going very good. In fact, the latest numbers we just got point to economic growth of a negative 0.3%. That's much worse actually than was expected. An earlier estimate had already warned that the economy was shrinking, but it had looked more like 0.1%. So now we're looking at a bigger drop. And if things keep going like they are, that would mean we're still solidly in recession territory, even if the trend is going a bit upwards. In 2023, Germany's economy shrank by 0.9%, and then in 24 it shrank by 0.5%. So yes, there is a bit of a trend showing things are becoming less bad. But we're definitely a long ways away from things going well. And just a reminder, economists had long said that this year we would at least come out of a recession, enter maybe a stagnation, or, and those were the optimists, even see a bit of growth. But looking at those latest numbers for the second quarter, it's definitely not looking like it right now.
So Lars, what is the reason for these unexpectedly weak numbers then?
Well, the numbers are mostly low due to weakness in the industrial sector. And that's a disappointment because we had seen some strength there during the first quarter. And that had many believe that we might actually be on our way out of the doldrums. But of course, there's a reason why the industrial sector is weak. Germany is a very export-heavy economy, and with current difficulties in trade, first and foremost, obviously, with U.S. President Trump's trade war, which has impacted much of the world, but of course heavily impacts the European Union and thus also, of course, the German economy. With this trade war, with tariffs, with more than anything months of uncertainty over how high tariffs might be, this has all rattled the sector. It impacted investment, orders, deliveries, and it's likely going to continue to be a problem. Just last Friday, actually, the EU and the US published some more details on what we could possibly call a trade agreement. It says, for example, that tariffs on cars from the EU or Germany wouldn't actually be lowered as quickly as thought. So news like that will likely make sure that the German economy won't just suddenly see tremendous growth.
And what reactions are you seeing to those latest numbers now?
Well, obviously, first reactions were shock, disappointment, but also a bit of anger. Especially economists talking about the trade conflict with the US didn't hold back voicing their disapproval over this new policy and warning also of what might come. What I found interesting, the political field also reacted with resolve, or at least it sounded like it. They said that reforms so far did obviously not go far enough and that the German economy needed much more structural, deeper reform to get out of its crisis. Now, that sounds good, but of course, we've also heard that before. Less bureaucracy, lower taxes, lower energy prices, all good ideas. However, as long as politicians are just talking about it, that is not quite enough. And besides the announcement of a multi-billion euro investment package, we haven't seen much yet. The latest numbers are clearly showing that something needs to happen soon if Germany wants to avoid a third year of recession.
All right. Thank you so much, Lars, for joining us and giving us the latest from Germany. Moving on, you're watching the India News Hour. Now it's time to get you all the latest action from the world of sports. To begin with tennis first. Well, at the ongoing first round of women's singles event of the US Open, defending champion Aryna Sabalenka began her campaign with a victory over Switzerland's Rabuka Masarova. World number 1 Sabalenka is bidding to become the first woman to win back-to-back US Open titles since Serena Williams completed a hat-trick in 2014. Meanwhile, Emma Raducanu thrashed Japan's Ina Shibahara to advance to the second round of the event. Raducanu clinched her first US Open match victory since her memorable 2021 triumph. Raducanu had made history at Flushing Meadows in 2021 by becoming the first qualifier ever to win a Grand Slam title. Moving on to the men's singles event category at the US Open, Russia's Daniil Medvedev suffered a first-round exit after losing to France's Benjamin Bonzi in a 5-set thriller. Well, after losing the first 2 sets, Medvedev made a comeback in the third set, saving a match point and winning the third via a tie-breaker. Medvedev handed Bonzi a page-hill in the 4th set but ended up losing the 5th set. In another round, Novak Djokovic launched his quest for a record 25th Grand Slam singles title against Lerner Chien. The 38-year-old has not played since his defeat in the semi-finals at Wimbledon last month. Djokovic had revealed that he has cut back his schedule. And now let's go across to MEA's press briefing on Fiji's Prime Minister visit to India.
Srimati Paramita Tripathi, who looks after Oceania Division. She's the Joint Secretary looking after Oceania Division in the Ministry of External Affairs. As also, we have our High Commissioner in Fiji, Mr. Sunit Mehta, who's with us. With that, I invite Secretary Madam to give her opening remarks, after which we'll take some questions from the floor. Ma'am, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Randhir. A very good afternoon, friends from the media. Thank you for joining this special briefing on the ongoing visit of the Prime Minister Sitiveni Rabuka of Fiji to India. I shall start with the program first. As you all probably know, Prime Minister Rabuka arrived yesterday on 24th of August. He was warmly received by Dr. Sukanta Majumdar, Minister of State for Education and Development for Northeast Region, and he was accorded a static guard reception. Prime Minister Rabuka is accompanied by Minister for Health and Medical Services, Mr. Antonio Lalabalavu, and a delegation comprising of senior officials. Yesterday, Minister of Health and Family Welfare, Shri J.P. Nadda, called on Prime Minister Rabuka, and PM Rabuka also visited a super speciality hospital. Today is the main day of the official bilateral engagements. This morning, PM Rabuka visited Rajghat to pay tribute to Father of our nation, Mahatma Gandhi. This was followed by extensive bilateral talks at the Hyderabad House. The talks covered the entire gamut of bilateral relations, including political cooperation, high-level engagements, trade, agriculture, education, healthcare, mobility, defense, capacity building, and people-to-people ties. The two leaders also shared the perspective on regional and global issues, including on multilateral cooperation. The two leaders also witnessed the exchange of 9 bilateral documents or MoUs. These are construction, commissioning, operation and maintenance of a super speciality hospital in Fiji, an agreement on supply of medicines under our Jan Aushadhi scheme, an MoU on cooperation in standardization between Bureau of Indian Standards and Department of National Measurement and Standards, which is the counterpart body of BIS in Fiji. Another MoU was on the cooperation in the field of human capacity, skilling and upskilling between National Institute of Electronics and Information Technology of India and Pacific Polytechnic of Fiji, on Indian grant assistance for implementation of quick impact projects. A declaration of intent on migration and mobility was also exchanged, and the Fijian side handed over lease deed of Indian Chancery Building in Suva to our High Commissioner. I may mention the other two MoUs that were concluded on the sidelines. One was between Confederation of Indian Industry, or CII, and Fiji Commerce and Employment Federation, FCEF. The second one was between National Bank for Agriculture and Rural Development, NABARD, and Fiji Development Bank. A number of initiatives to enhance our ongoing development cooperation with Fiji were also announced. The announcements made included: 1, a visit of parliamentary delegation and of Great Council of Chiefs from Fiji to India in 2026, a port call by an Indian naval ship to Fiji in 2025, creation of the post of Defence Attaché in High Commission of India, Fiji, gifting of 2 ambulances to Royal Fiji Military Forces, establishment of a cyber security training cell in Fiji. Fiji has announced joining the Indo-Pacific Oceans Initiative of India. We also announced supply of mobile soil testing laboratories to Ministry of Sugar Industry and Multi-Ethnic Affairs of Fiji. Supply of agriculture drones to Sugar Research Institute of Fiji under the Ministry of Sugar Industry and Multi-Ethnic Affairs. Deputation of a Hindi cum Sanskrit teacher, actually associate professor to University of Fiji. deputation of a Hindi cum Sanskrit teacher, actually associate professor to University of Fiji, deputation of a cricket coach from India for Cricket Fiji, which is their organization. We have also announced deputation of an iTech expert to Fiji Sugar Corporation and special iTech training for sugar industry staff of Fiji. Indian ghee gets access to Fijian market. As you all know, it's a very important cuisine of Indian cuisine. Support for training for a cohort of Pandits from Fiji in India has also been announced. We shall be also having a second Jaipur foot camp in Fiji and a specialized medical treatment in Indian hospitals under the Heal in India program for a certain number of Fijians. The joint statement, which has been agreed between the two countries, has been released, I think, shortly. I'm told later today. It has already just been released, and it has the details of all the bilateral documents as well as the announcements. Both Prime Ministers made brief press statements after the exchange of MoUs. A banquet lunch was hosted by Prime Minister Shri Modi in favor of the visiting Prime Minister Rabuka, and his delegation at the Hyderabad House. As regards the other elements of the program, today PM Rabuka will also call on Honorable Rashtrapati Ji at the Rashtrapati Bhavan. Tomorrow, on 26th of August, PM Rabuka will visit the UIDAI headquarters, the National Defence College, and a Jan Aushadhi Kendra. PM Rabuka will deliver a talk on Ocean of Peace at the Indian Council of World Affairs. It's tomorrow at 16:30, so those of you who are interested are welcome to join. He will depart for Fiji from New Delhi on 27th of August. Now, as regards the significance of the visit, this is PM Rabuka's first visit to India in his current capacity. In fact, we've had a series of high-level visits between India and Fiji in the recent past. Honorable Rashtrapati Ji had visited Fiji last year in August 2024, and during that visit, PM Rabuka had called on the President. PM Modi met PM Rabuka in May 2023 on the sidelines of the 3rd FIPIC Summit in Port Moresby, and several ministerial visits have also taken place from both sides. In fact, I'm told that since the current government came to power, 22 ministerial visits have taken place between the two countries, including the visits of all 3 deputy prime ministers of Fiji to India. These high-level exchanges serve as an important strategic platform to advance our cooperation in diverse spheres. India and Fiji have historical and cultural ties. Fiji, with its significant Indian diaspora and historical connections to India, holds a place of special importance, and development assistance is the key pillar of our bilateral cooperation, and we have taken a number of initiatives in this regard. I think I shall stop here for the time being and then take some questions.
Keshav Padmanabhan from The Print. I just wanted to ask about the defense and security partnership, because there are, I think, 3 paragraphs on the joint statement regarding this, as well as the Prime Minister's mentioned it in their statement. So what are the sort of themes that we're looking at in terms of the defense and security partnership, maritime security? Some clarity on that I would be grateful for. Thank you.
Rishikesh. Rishikesh from PTI. So, Fiji Prime Minister has openly opposed China's military bases in this Pacific region, and today PM Modi has announced that India has prepared action plan in strengthening defense and security. So, has Fijian Prime Minister shared reasons for opposing China's military bases and the reasons for supporting our action plan? Yes.
You have a question there? Yeah.
Hi, this is Parul Chandra. I'm an independent journalist. My question is, what strategic role does India see Fiji playing within the larger framework of the Indo-Pacific, especially given China's growing footprints in the Indo-Pacific region?
Aisha.
Madam, this is Anangsha Macha. Akhil Deoshing
A key minister, which is the employment minister of Fiji, once announced that they are working to increase the skill levels in taking capacity from India. So is there any talks on upskilling Indian youths as well as employing Indian as well?
Thank you for your questions. Let me begin with defense and security. I think we have an MOU on defense with Fiji already, and last month we had the first meeting of the JWG on defense cooperation. A number of areas were outlined for collaboration between the two countries. We have also announced establishment of a post of defense attaché in the High Commission of Fiji, who will be covering the Pacific Islands as well. As of now, I think our defense and security collaboration is focused on enhancing the maritime capabilities of Fiji by providing capacity building and training. There have been some requests of the equipment also, so we are looking at that also. Overall, in the Indo-Pacific region, Fiji is a valued partner in the Indo-Pacific. In fact, you may recall that Prime Minister Modi had visited Fiji within 6 months of his taking over in 2014. And that is when we had launched the Forum for India and Pacific Island Cooperation, FIPIC as we call it, during his visit. Fiji is a kind of a regional hub in the Pacific. It provides important air and shipping links to the other countries in the region and plays an important role in the regional body which is called Pacific Island Forum, also in the other regional bodies and institutions of the Pacific. Currently, they are chairing the Melanesian Spearhead Group, which is a sub-regional organization, MSG, comprising of 4 countries. It also hosts the headquarters of Pacific Island Forum and the prestigious University of Pacific, which is University of South Pacific. In fact, many of our projects, which are aimed at social and development progress of the entire Pacific region, are also located in Fiji. For instance, SCODI, which is the Sustainable Coastal and Ocean Research Institute, which we set up in 2024, and also the IT Center, they are in Suva. In fact, the super specialty hospital that we announced today, which is being constructed in Suva and will be also operated by India, is also expected to cater to the entire Pacific region. So together, India and Fiji are committed to advancing our shared vision of peace, prosperity, and sustainable development in the region. Fiji has also joined many of our global initiatives. In fact, it's a member of GBA. It's a member of also ISA. It has also a member of Coalition for Disaster Resilience Infrastructure. In fact, that's a very important part of our collaboration because disaster relief and climate change are 2 issues which are very, very dear to all the Pacific Island states. And during this visit, Fiji has also announced joining IPOI, that is Indo-Pacific Ocean Initiative. So in a number of areas, I think together we are collaborating in order to have a free, open, inclusive, and sustainable Pacific Ocean. Regarding the PM action points, I think PM has announced today. And we are also, in fact, looking at enhancing our collaboration both bilaterally as well as in the regional forum, that is Forum for Indo-Pacific, Forum for India, Forum for India-Pacific Island Cooperation. And we have had several meetings. In fact, we also organized a conference on sustainable development in the recent past. And we have been having meetings even on the sidelines. In fact, even in UNGA on the sidelines, we have been meeting 6 countries. So there are a number of areas where I think we are collaborating together. Regarding the skills level, I think we have signed today the Declaration of Intent for Migration and Mobility. This should improve the, going of professionals and students and other semi-skilled personnel to India, to Fiji from India. In fact, Fiji also already grants visa on arrival to Indians, so there is no specific requirements from the Indian side for travel of Indians to Fiji. Mr. Agni Dev Singh, Minister of Labour of Fiji, had visited India in February this year, and he has underlined that Fiji has shortages in several sectors, and there's a discussion going on in this regard on how to enhance mobility of labour and professionals to Fiji. And as I said, we have already signed the Declaration of Intent on Migration and Mobility, and that should be helpful in this regard. Thank you.
Thank you. नीरज
जी नमस्कार, मैं नीरज दुबे प्रभा साक्षी से। मेरे दो सवाल हैं। एक तो आतंकवाद का भी जिक्र आया है, तो इसमें क्या पहलगाम आतंकी हमले पर खास तौर पर बातचीत हुई? दूसरा, कृषि क्षेत्र में जो समझौते हुए हैं उसमें हम 12 एग्री ड्रोन और 2 मोबाइल सॉइल टेस्टिंग लैब्स वगैरह देने जा रहे हैं, तो ये भारतीय कृषि स्टार्टअप्स के लिए भी वहाँ संभावना के द्वार खोल रहे हैं।
दिव्या।
Hi, Divya from Indian Express. We spoke about the migration and mobility agreement. You said there are some sectors. Could you specify what sectors and when do we plan to make it actionable, the agreement?
Ma'am.
I'll take these two first. Yes, certainly, as you said, let me start with the second question first. Some sectors where we see enormous possibilities, I would list out, I think, at least 3, 4. One, of course, agriculture. Second, fisheries. Third, construction. And fourth, tourism. I'll elaborate. I think in the area of agriculture, if you notice in Fiji, where people from India had gone as indentured labor for sugar plantations, now their sugar industry is going down. In fact, it's happening in many small island developing states that the agriculture sector is not very prominent anymore, whereas people had gone there as indentured labor for sugarcane plantations, for cocoa plantations, etc. But over the years, tourism has evolved so much that the entire focus is on tourism. In some island countries, you have oil and gas like Trinidad and Tobago, so they are more focused on that. So there is a over dependence on tourism. So that is why the other sectors of the economy have not developed very well. So that is the reason, in fact, and this has happened also post-COVID when tourism took a big hit, that many of these countries are trying to diversify their economies and are looking for skilled labor and skilled professionals from abroad. So agriculture is an area where we see enormous possibilities. We already have an MOU on agriculture with them. We are supplying agriculture drones as is listed in the joint statement. And that is an area which we consider as an area of our strength. And Fiji has a very conducive climate. There's plenty of rainfall, and as of now, the agriculture is very, very limited. So I definitely see a lot of possibilities for our entrepreneurs, for joint ventures, etc. And they have the possibility of leasing the land. And so there is a possibility of contract farming. We also discussed today the possibility of natural farming, etc. So there are a lot of possibilities in that sector. Second, I think today Prime Minister shared that there's a lot of construction that they are expecting would happen. They are planning to have a new airport. They are planning to have another port. They are also planning to construct, tourism-related infrastructure. Like there are no hotels, not enough hotels in that country. So that is another area where we see a lot of possibility. Tourism-related infrastructure also has possibilities because it's a country which has nearly 9,28,000 people, but it receives over 1 million tourists per annum. It's more than their population. Majority of the tourists are from Australia and also New Zealand and USA, but there's not much tourist traffic from India to Fiji. So there's a possibility of, say, wedding destination, Fiji's development as a wedding destination, Fiji's development as a destination for our Bollywood. So there are a lot of possibility in the tourism sector. Similarly, in the fisheries sector as well, they have, I think, some possibilities for tuna processing. In fact, India imports tuna from Fiji, but fisheries as an industry hasn't developed that much. So, and we are, again, I think we are really a big power in fisheries nowadays. We are the largest in the shrimp production. We are also venturing into pearl farming, I think, which is a very promising area for the South Sea countries, because South Sea pearls, as we know, are world famous. They do some pearl farming, but on a very small scale. So in the pearl farming sector, in the fisheries sector also, they have a lot of corals, but I think they kind of export raw corals and there's no coral jewelry, etc. So those are the allied kind of sectors where there's a lot of possibility. So these are the areas, I think, where we see a lot of enormous possibilities. आतंकवाद जैसा कि आपने कहा, बिल्कुल उन्होंने इनफैक्ट हमें काफ़ी सपोर्ट किया था जब पहलगाम का इंसिडेंट हुआ था, तो वहाँ से एक बहुत अच्छी एक स्टेटमेंट आई थी। उन्होंने कहा था कि हम भारत के साथ खड़े हैं। आज भी हमारी जो बातचीत के दौरान उन्होंने इस बात को दोहराया और वो ये भी चाहते हैं कि टेररिज्म पे इंडिया पहल करके पूरे वर्ल्ड में एक लीडरशिप पोजीशन ले। तो इस पे टेररिज्म के इश्यूज पे हम दोनों कंट्रीज में काफ़ी आपस में एक अंडरस्टैंडिंग है और वो हमें इन मुद्दों पे काफ़ी सपोर्ट करते हैं। थैंक यू। कृषि, आई प्रिज्यूम आई कवर्ड, सो या थैंक यू।
सचिन, आपका सवाल है, बताइए।
मैं सचिन बुधोलिया हूँ, हिंदुस्तान समाचार से। मेरा सवाल ये है कि क्या यहाँ से फिजी के लिए डायरेक्ट कनेक्टिविटी फ्लाइट हमारे सीधे चलती है, क्योंकि टूरिज्म को जैसे आपने बताया कि भारत का एक टूरिज्म का मार्केट वो लोग एक्सप्लोर करना चाहते हैं, तो डायरेक्ट कनेक्टिविटी को लेकर के क्या हम लोग कर रहे हैं?
Keshav, you have a follow-up question?
Thank you so much, sir, for permitting me a second question. This is with regards to the Keshav Padmanabhan from the print again. This is with regards to the $75 million line of credit that was agreed to in 2014 when the Prime Minister visited. Can you give us a sense of whether this line of credit has elapsed and if there are negotiations for further development assistance through such financial instruments arising from this visit? Thank you.
Thank you. On the direct connectivity, I do realize that it's a major challenge. In fact, when I recently visited Fiji, many of these business people had mentioned, challenges of shipping links and connectivity between our two countries. But you see, India doesn't have a national carrier as of now, and Fiji Airways has limited operations. In fact, they fly to Singapore. They also fly to Hong Kong, and they fly, I think, a little bit between Australia and New Zealand, and I think one or two of the other islands. So as of now, they have, I think, not enough planes, though it's a very good airlines. I am told that it is listed as a very safe and popular airline. But we have, as of now, no connectivity, direct connectivity in the sense, no direct air connectivity, because we do not have a national carrier. So it's essentially within the hands of the private airlines. In fact, it is for them. But we are ready to facilitate if any of our airlines want to kind of have a code sharing arrangement or to fly directly. We will be very happy to facilitate and provide the necessary civil aviation support. The other thing I would like to add that its connectivity is more than physical when it comes to Fiji. There's a lot of connections in the historical and cultural and linguistic field. As you know, nearly 1/3 of the population is of Indian origin there, and Hindi is the official language in Fiji. In fact, this government has also made it a language, a vernacular language also for the parliament. So it is spoken in the parliament. We also have a cultural center there, which teaches Indian languages as well as the Indian music and dance, etc. We have enormous religious connections. In fact, they had come for the Ayodhya kind of that ceremony which took place for the Ramlala Mandir. As well as I think we have a lot of kind of connections between the two communities. In fact, they celebrate Girmit Day every day on the 15th of Day. They celebrate Yoga Day, etc. So there are more than I think physical connectivity connections. Those are other connectivity connections. And now also is an era of digital connectivity. So there are, I think I would look at connectivity in so many other ways as well. I would like to also say about these loans. Actually, our development partnership is our key pillar, when it comes to Fiji. And we've been assisting them with all three forms. We are doing grant in aid projects. We are providing them lines of credit, concessional loans, and we also provide training and capacity building. So we had given them two LOCs for the sugar industries in the past, one for the $50 million, 50.4 actually, and the other for $5.8 million. And we have done numerous other projects in various areas. But this 70 million which was announced, I think this we are awaiting the these are the lines which were extended to the Fiji Sugar Cooperation, and the work under these LOCs have been completed. And I think as of now there is no more project under the LOC as far as we understand. So that is about the LOC, but a lot is happening, under the development cooperation program of ours through grant in aid projects, which again we do it, bilaterally. We also do it under the FIPIC banner, and we also have what we call India UNDP Cooperation Fund. So we do that under we do projects under that as well. Thank you.
You have a question or?
On the defense equipment, what kind of equipment are we looking at? Is it going to be patrol boats? Is it going to be aircraft like we provided to the Maldives, the Dorniers? So can you be a little more specific on what kind of equipment we will be providing to Fiji? Thank you.
Thank you. As I said, when it comes to defense and security, we are focusing on basically training and capacity building. And we have also had port calls by our visits, by our ships. And we have also focused on HADR, humanitarian and assistance and disaster relief. We are essentially focusing on enhancing the maritime capabilities of Fiji so that they could deal with the challenges of security in their region, which is also disaster management, because their countries are vulnerable to natural disasters, cyclones, etc. We are also building upon they also have this issue of IUU, illegal, unreported and unregulated fishing. So for that as well, we are supporting them. We had the first meeting of JWG only recently. So I think the two sides are working on how we can collaborate with them. We are setting up a cyber security cell. I think we are also supplying, we have announced today, we will be supplying sea ambulances to the Fiji military forces. So there are a lot of areas which we are exploring as of now. And I think the basic is we want to kind of collaborate in the regional security architecture so that our shared vision of having a free, open, inclusive and peaceful and sustainable Indo-Pacific is there for everybody. Thank you.
फिजी की आधिकारिक भाषाओं में हिंदी भी शामिल है, तो चलिए इस बार इस प्रेस वार्ता को हिंदी में ख़त्म करते हैं। आप सभी के भागीदारी के लिए बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद। आगे इस दौरे के बारे में हमसे जुड़े रहिए और क्या होता है इसके बारे में जानने के लिए बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद।
So there you heard the Ministry of External Affairs giving a roundup of Fiji's Prime Minister's India visit, the importance of it, the important strength and pillars that both the countries share, and what are the future plans along with the future diplomatic course. And to give you more on this, I'm joined by once again Ambassador Anil Wadhwa, the former senior diplomat. Ambassador Wadhwa, when we talk about India's support and unequivocal support to the Global South is also reciprocating the same, and the voice against terrorism standing beside India in their voice on terrorism and pushing them to, just stay strong with the global agenda. How do you see this latest development between India and Fiji and their stance against terrorism?
Means that we are actually concentrating ourselves on what we can do to lead progress.
Ambassador Wadhwa, are you getting my voice?
Yes, I am.
Yes, sir. I'm asking that when we talk about India's unequivocal support to the Global South is also reciprocating the same. And India's stand on terrorism was echoed by the Fijian Prime Minister and the entire delegation as well. And they also released a press statement during Operation Sindoor, is what we heard from the Secretary as well. How do you see this growing support of the Global South for India, especially on terrorism ground?
So I think, as you said rightly, the Global South is responding to the fact that we have taken a series of steps over the years for cooperation, giving them the importance that they deserve, and also stepping up on our cooperation bilaterally and also in multilateral fora with countries of the Global South. Now, as far as countries of the Pacific are concerned, they have some specific concerns about climate change and climate-related mitigation, which India has stepped up to and has done its best to support them in this endeavor. So when it comes to important world issues like cross-border terrorism or counter-terrorism, Fiji realizes that this is a threat to world peace and security. So in multilateral fora and of course bilaterally, they have continuously given us their full support. And I think the response in general from the Global South to these issues of concern which are of international concern has been very, very positive.
And also, as announced, Fiji is all set to join the Indo-Pacific Oceans of India. Tell us the importance of that and how does that strengthen India's Mahasagar vision?
So I think, this is one more in a series of cooperative steps that Fiji has taken to come together with India and its initiatives. And International Solar Alliance and, of course, the disaster management issues are very much close to the heart of Fiji, which they had already joined. But now coming together with India in the Indian Ocean Pacific Initiative, there is a certain amount of synergy there because India has pegged its initiative on 7 pillars of related to the maritime aspects, which also includes maritime cooperation. And Fiji seems to think that this will be a big gain for Fiji if it cooperates with India on this initiative. It is an important hub for India in the Pacific, as we've just heard from the press conference. And going forward, Fiji can become an important key partner, I would say, in the Pacific in this endeavor of India in terms of taking forward its aims for Mahasagar.
And also, when we talk about the soft power, there is a very deep connect between India and Fiji when we come to the cultural ties and the people-to-people connection that has been emphasized not only in the press statement but also in the statement by the Secretary of South as well in Ministry of External Affairs briefing. How do you see the growing relationship, you being very closely observant of the Fiji culture there?
Yeah, so I think it's very important that Fiji finds partners like India in the cybersecurity field because the real partners of Fiji, besides Australia and New Zealand in that part of the world, have been quite few and far between. And then you have the growing threat of a Chinese presence in that part of the oceans. And in terms of the freedom of navigation, Fiji sees itself as a country which becomes vulnerable to outside presence. And therefore, for it to cooperate with India is very important in this respect. And I'm sure that the center that India has proposed today in Fiji will go a long way in alleviating these concerns in Fiji.
And lastly, how do you see the growing relationship between India and Fiji and how is it going to be received by the rest of the world?
So I think the Indian-Fiji relations have been growing quite steadily over the past 2-3 decades, I would say, except for that brief lull that we had in our relationship between 1990 and 1999 due to political issues and rumblings within the Fijian politics. This relationship has grown from strength to strength. I think countries of the region generally perceive this as a very positive relationship, a stabilizing factor in this part of the world. So I think this will be welcomed, in fact, by like-minded countries who want to see Fiji and the Pacific Island states in general develop in a steady manner going forward.
All right, thank you so much, Ambassador Vada, for joining us and bringing us a rounded perspective with the expert analysis on India and Fiji's growing bilateral ties and the latest developments we are witnessing throughout the day today. And that's all for this edition of TD India News Hour, but do let us know your thoughts on the news of the day. For those on the go, you can get all the latest news and updates from India and across the world on the TD India mobile app. The app is available on both Android and iOS platforms. Scan the QR code on the screen to download it right now. We'll be back with more news as it breaks here on TD India. I am Deepika, and from all of us here in New Delhi, thank you so much for watching TD India News Hour. Namaskar.